Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio Railworld, where we are now in update 0.11.5 and the walk animation has been changed, and in 3 times speed it looks a little bit weird, and hopefully you'll get used to that. But anyway, we're checking up on the base, seeing how things are going. Advanced circuits have not quite built up. Let's go see if there's a reason for that, and it looks like at a glance that everything's fine there. But if we check up on circuit production, we find that copper is not running, is not getting to the end properly. But if we look on the belt, it's flowing at full speed, which seems a bit weird. And my only explanation is that the circuit production is now so much that like both sides of a blue belt can no longer keep it supplied. So I'm trying to mess about and fix it. So I've put in a splitter belt even outery thing here, and that doesn't seem to have helped. And if anything, it's made it worse. So it looks like we're going to have to actually rope in the other belts to this. Which I never thought would be necessary, but luckily there's some space for it, so we just get an underground belt going along the iron line to make the space, and then we just have to run down the we just have to get a splitter off the second copper belt and then run it down along here, get a splitter halfway along, and we've just doubled the supply. I guess now the entire copper supply can get onto the belts if necessary. So now all we need to do is a quick upgrade to blue belts on this stretch of the second copper belt. So there we go, that's fixed that. So now let's go and inspect it once again, if I can get past that substation there. And now iron's running down. Apparently that was also on edge, and that adding in the extra copper has pushed it over the edge. And I imagine let's start that again. I imagine that something to do with it is the gear production. So it's because we've got that siphoning off the same set of belts, it's too much. So I'm gonna have to change it, and it turns like when I first set the system up like that, I remember viewers said that's a bad idea, you should have the gears and the circuits use a separate supply, and I was like, oh no, it'll never get to be that much. No, I was wrong. We needed we now need it to have separate to come from separate places. So yeah, we'll have to sort of entirely shift this system around. Luckily it's not too much of a problem because we do have enough space, though it's only just enough. We have to shift around some power supply stuff and clear away a few old bits of stuff that are around the place, but there is enough room to actually flip this around so that we can get the iron being siphoned from a different, well, actually it's being siphoned from the same iron belt, but what we can do is after the iron is siphoned off, we then balance the 2 belts again with another splitter. And that way there will still be enough going into circuit production, so circuit production and gear production can both go at full speed and work nicely like that. So that's set up and running, and we can go off and check on other things. There's still a ridiculous amount of alien artifacts handy, so we're not going to need to go biter killing for multiple millennia. And I check up on the modules, see how everything's going there. That's all fine. At the moment all of the level 1 modules are being used up to make level 2s, and that might pose a problem later. But anyway, we've well, we have another check of circuit production just as we're passing, and it's gone wrong, and as you can quite clearly see, copper is not what it should be. The belts are suddenly full of gaps because it looks like the supply is no longer enough. So we'll go down to copper, and it looks like this outpost over here has run out, and that could do nothing but hinder copper production. So we can clear away all these old belts now and get neaten things up, and we can finally put in this splitter thing that's supposed to be here to get everything evened out nicely between the belts. But as you can see, not all the smelters are on, because the copper is not getting all the way to the end. And if we look, it's probably got something to do with the fact that there's of the 2 trains that are supplying copper, one of them only supplies it for like 2 seconds before it runs out again. So basically we've only got 1 blue belt full of copper running along, and we could mess about with the belts, and indeed I go over and see if I can mess about and get things to load onto both sides, but unfortunately there just isn't the space in the gap between these 2 unloading things, and I take a couple of minutes to, well, not a couple of minutes, like 1 minute puzzling over how to get things to load onto the other side, and eventually give up. So we're gonna have to find something else to fix this, and I guess what we need to do is set up a new copper train, because we only have 1 main one and the other one's gonna run out soon, mini copper 2. So I've decided on the location I'm gonna go to, but we have a bit of a problem. It's to the north and a bit to the east of the station. You can see it up there, that little smudge at the top of the radar range, and I'm just puzzling over the map, trying to work out how to arrange things, because thing is, I don't want the trains to be going off to the west and then up and then back to the east again, because that's no good. And also it's putting a lot of stress on the line that goes to the west. If every train has to use that to get to where it wants to go, it probably won't end well. So we want to try and get trains going to the east as well, but there's just no space. And you can see I'm just puzzling over the map here, looking at it for I think multiple minutes. Bit of science gets done there. And like I'm running around trying to work out how the rails can get through, and there's just too many things in the way. There's an oil mining thing, there's lakes, there's solar fields, but eventually I decide that I'm going to have to make some sort of decision. So I plonk a couple of rails down to try and motivate myself to build more, and I end up getting rid of them again because I need to work out the spacing a bit more. But I decided I'm going to start extending off of the loop and see where that goes, and just work it out as we go along. So I'm just sorting out my hotbar to get all the rail stuff into the right place so we can just access it easily enough. There's quite a few random bits and bobs from the last rail system I made. More research getting done. We're burning through that really fast. I'm getting worried the series is just going to end all of a sudden when I'm still in the middle of everything. So we start extending it along, and I'm trying to work out if I can get a single rail going through here, but unfortunately this particular gap here does not fit any type of rail, so we're going to have to go round this little bit of lake here, but unfortunately that lines up with some oil pump jacks, so we're going to have to have a bit of slaloming going on. It's not going to be as straight lined as I'd like it to be, but we set up a straight line here, and then we carry on extending over here through all these trees that are all in the way and being annoying and being trees. And the thing, at the moment we've got one rail there, and what I decided to do is have the other rail on the inside of that, and then we'll work that out in a minute. So start putting the loop in just to connect these two up and have that sorted. And it takes me I end up constructing the entire loop before I realise I've done the whole thing one block too high, and put in the final piece before I go, oh whoops, and then have to go around and shift every single piece down by one to get it to line up properly. And there we go with that, and then we need to connect everything up to the loop itself, and we'll be putting in some signals and some straight bits to sort out the mergings and so on and so forth, having to craft some more bits of rail. And that's those, and then we put in the straight bits, making sure not to miss out any this time like I did with the other copper outpost, so that the train couldn't go anywhere for a while until I worked it out. We'll make a couple of signals, put those in, and then we'll carry on. So we have it going straight for a while, but then of course there is the oil deposit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the two lanes merge, and we are going to have for a short distance a single train system. So I start putting, well, I put in the necessary signals to stop things from crashing into each other on this. At the moment there's only going to be one train going along this track, which means that we shouldn't have any problems with multiple trains, but at some point in the future we may have more trains going along this line, in which case we'll have to stop worrying about it, and we might as well put it in now. Also, sometimes trains can randomly detour to wrong bits of the system, as you saw a couple of episodes ago with Mini Copper 2, where it went almost all the way to the copper mine, the main copper mine, before it actually started looping back again. But anyway, we now have to maneuver these two things crossing over each other, the oil train and the other train that will be coming along here. And unfortunately it's been a while now since I've properly messed about with signals, and I'm starting to forget some of the old tricks. And I actually realised halfway through doing this that I'm not going to be able to set the system up like this, because it will split the single train system into two blocks, so then two trains could come along each of the two blocks, meet in the middle and not be able to do anything. So what I actually have to do is get the tracks to split again before they cross over the oil train's track, so that they don't have that problem. And it creates this absolute mess of signals, but the important thing is that it is functional, which is all that really matters. So there we go, look at that, that's 12 signals there to deal with this weird double junction horrible thing. But hopefully that should operate, and we'll find that out if when we set the train up nobody crashes into anyone. So anyway, I ran out of materials, but conveniently I am right next to the stone mine here, so I can just immediately grab some more and carry on with what I'm doing. So now we reach our next challenge, which is the solar field, and I decide I'm just gonna like steamroll over it. I'm just going to clear it out, this bit that I need to, and have the train going straight through the middle. And it's a bit messy, and I may try and sort of neaten it up later, because at the moment I've just gone and split it straight down the middle, where there's a much more sort of neat and nice looking way to do it. But at the moment I just want to get this rail system set up, partly because it's quite important that we get the copper going again, because Mini Copper 2 is imminently going to run out. It runs out by the end of the episode, and so we need to make sure that we have some more copper coming in pretty soon, otherwise there's going to be quite a bit of oh, I just realised I've misplaced one of those solar panels, and I completely missed it. I didn't even, I always watch through these before I do my voice recording, and I missed it even there as well. I'm gonna have to go back and fix that. That's a nightmare. A nightmare if you have OCD or whatever. I don't know how I made that mistake. But anyway, now we've made our way through a wall. We put in some nice rail gates which look cool and act cool and so on. We'll resupply once again and carry on what we do. Well, we haven't put the rail gates in yet. We've just got them in our crafting in our inventory now, and then we can plonk those two in. They look pretty cool, and we can carry on to the north. So off we go. And unfortunately, there's a few trees in the way. Having to sort of forge my way through here to get up to the copper deposit that we're aiming at. It's not as bad as before. There was some really thick, like, tree stuff earlier on. But the thing is, you know, even there's something I want to test out. So while I'm crafting some more rails, I make my way back to base. I can get resupplied and so on with stone and things. You can see the copper line is doing terribly. It's harder to see because of the night vision goggles. Oh, and there they go. And we're going to hop inside the tank because we're going to use this to lay some rails. This was something that a lot of subscribers pointed out a couple of videos back when I was having some real trouble with trees. The tank knocks down trees, and you can place things from inside a vehicle. So the tank is just brilliant for this. So we line ourselves up, and we start placing the rails, and off we go. Unfortunately, a biter attack happens just as I start, and I have a quick check of that over in Copper Outpost 1, but it looks like no damage is done, and it quickly fades away. Some more research being done as well. So that sort of interrupted the cool moment, but we'll carry on. Look at this, it's brilliant. It's like who needs a rail layer mod when you have this thing? You can just plow all the way through all of these trees and just place the rails as you go. Unfortunately, it's not as long as I'd like it to be, because I was having a lot of fun with that, but I had to stop because I'd got to the copper outpost. I sort of want to have more fun with this. I want to do another big line like Iron Outpost 2, so I can have another go at that. But anyway, what we need to do now is start putting in the stations and the loops and such for this end of the system. And I'm trying to put in a loop before we get to this this stone deposit here, but unfortunately I've sort of had things go too far to the right, so I have to sort of do it backwards, build the loop, and then work out how far back I have to push back the station to get it to fit in. There's a few trees to clear out here, but unfortunately when it's in a circle it's a bit more difficult to use a tank for, particularly because you're never completely sure where the exact positioning of the loop will be until you actually start putting the rail pieces down. So you'd clear out a loop and it'd be the wrong position. But anyway, we start, well, we finished the loop itself, so we can start putting in these straight bits. And of course, straight bits can be a brilliant time to use the tank. So off we go, ploughing through the forest, having tons and tons of fun as we get over to the first bit of straight rail we need to put in. So here we go, moving along. Unfortunately, we can't go very far with this because we'll get to the loop. Yeah, there we go. And then we can put in the other end going back, just demolishing all of these trees, and it's just so easy. And we don't end up clogging up our inventory with wood, because I think I would have done by now. Otherwise, I think I already have a ton of wood in my inventory. I managed to misplace a bit of rail there and have to break the rails to actually clear it out and put it in properly. Then we can put some rail signals in here. I actually put in one that isn't supposed to be there by the station there, but I spot that later and take it out again. So now we need to go back down and put in the other side of this. Unfortunately, once again, it's not much of a distance, and I would quite like to have a nice big long bit of rail to place down later on. But for now, we'll just have to do these little short bits and have fun with that. And now there's a loop to put in, and seeing as the tank is here, I just start like figurating all around the place, trying to clear out the bit where the loop will go. Not exactly the most precise of systems there, but it's a ton of fun, so I highly recommend using the tank for rail laying. So anyway, we start putting this loop, but unfortunately I've got the positioning wrong, so I just have to quickly swing around and take out another stretch of the of the trees. I missed one there, but that's alright. And then we connect this loop up to the system, and once this is all done, we will have this new arm of the rail network complete, and then we just need to attach the actual station bit. So we just need to extend this last little bit here, and there's that. Put in the signals, and get some signals ready for finishing off the station as well. So put the actual station item in, we put the train in, and then we can put the rest on. And I think I'm going to have 2 cargo wagons with this. I'm not sure if we do need 2, because the deposit isn't that big, so we'd probably burn through it quite quickly using 2 cargo wagons, but I want to make sure that we definitely have enough of a copper supply to keep things running back home. So I'm just going to overkill a bit and see how that goes. There I go, getting rid of that bit of signal that doesn't need to be there. We'll put in a bit of fuel to keep the train going, and then we'll name the outpost Copper Outpost 2, and then we just need to line up the train properly. Accidentally drive it forward a bit and have to do it a second time, and then we can start putting in the loading system. So we'll craft a million fast inserters and some chests as well to get that sorted, get them in position. I managed to get the entire row of those wrong and then reposition it, and then we'll put in the chests. And then we can start putting in the mining drills. So we're going to have these going horizontally, because why not? There's no particular reason to do it any particular way, I don't think. So we start putting these along. We have the usual problems of lining them up. I always like to line them up as evenly as possible. Recently there have been a couple of people asking why I don't have them all like completely crammed in like sardines. Because like some people prefer to have their mining drills set up so that they're all in a very tight-knit row, but as far as I can see, there is no reason not to have them more spaced out, because the area that they mine is the 5x5 area around them rather than just the 3x3 area that they cover. So spacing them out will not make any difference to what they can mine, really. But because there's less overlap, each mining drill takes longer to actually mine through the ore, but it's still producing the ore at the same speed. So some people will like cram it all together to like get the deposit mined quicker, but at the end of the day, if you want a particular rate of ore, you don't need, like, it's just a case of how many mining drills you use, and if you run out of deposit, then you need to get a new deposit rather than just sort of cramming them into one. So really there's no particular reason, as far as I can see, to cram them together. If you can space them out, it's a good idea to space them out, and I always try and do it evenly so that they all sort of run out at the same time if possible. And it just means that, like, if there's less overlap, then they mine through the stuff slower, so you spend less time going back and building new mining drills to replace old ones that have run out. So anyway, we've got all that sorted out, and we'll finish discussing that, and we'll start placing all of these pylons here. I'm looking back there, I think I might have actually missed one of the signals. It looked like there wasn't one in a certain place. I'll have to go check on that later. But anyway, it turns out the train also works for laying down pylons, because the previous problem I had with pylons is that there were trees in the way, and that ruined your sort of the continuous placing of them that you could do, because you had to stop and mine the trees. But with the tank, of course, that just blasts the trees out of the way, it just runs them over, so you can just keep the mouse button held down to place all the pylons at maximum distance. But anyway, we make our way back to base because we have run out of space to use the tank now, because we've got to a brick wall, and of course, well, the tank could probably go through it, but we don't want to do that really. So I'm back in base, being resupplied, and I'm having to grab some level 1 efficiency modules, because we need some to finish off filling up all of the mining drills that we have over in the new copper base. And I think I grabbed just enough to supply them, because at the moment it's all been turned to level 2 modules, so I can only grab what's there right now. And as I'm passing, it looks like there's a bit of a problem with plastic. The supply seems to be running down, so we're going to have to go and sort that, but that's going to be in next episode, because we've got this to finish. And in fact, by the end of this episode, there are a lot of loose ends that need to be dealt with in next episode. We're going to have a lot of stuff to do. So anyway, we make our way back over to the copper outpost, and we can put in the final efficiency modules. And of course the power is now being delivered to the system, because I finished connecting things up over there. So we just make sure that it's going to all the mining drills. We hop on board the train and get it ready to go back home. And then there's a biter attack right in front of me, and I go a bit crazy with the shotgun, and it ends up pretty messy. I think I did half of the destruction in that battle. But we've lost a bunch of mining drills, and the problem is that, well, usually I just rebuild them, but I don't have the efficiency modules handy to get them all going. So well, to get them all going efficiently. So I decided to just leave those, and I'm going to go back next episode, so there's another loose end, and put in the remaining mining drills with the efficiency modules that they need, and for now I'm just going to leave it. So I'll hop back on board the train, I can take it back home and see how well the system runs and see if it runs alright. So we go along here through this bit, don't crash into the oil train, and we park up nice and easy. Mini Copper 2 has run out now, but anyway, we've run out of time, so I'm going to have to say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.